F1 podcast. I'm reporting solo today because Corbin has work and he also doesn't like me anymore, so we just aren't able to spend time together. We're trying to figure it out behind the scenes, but to make up for it, that's a joke, by the way. Corbin's still cool-ish. Anyways, to make up for it, I'm just going to record something quick for y'all to give you guys some updates on just the wonderful world that is motorsports and racing. Last week was IndyCar at the Thermal Club, and Thermal Club, this is their second year running there. Last year, it was more of a very exclusive, it's a private club, so it was like an exclusive thing. Tickets were really expensive, wasn't open to the public, but this year it was a points race. Everybody was available to come, and honestly, from what it looked like, it turned out to be a pretty decent race. There was an issue where broadcast got shut down for a moment because, it seems to be the reason is just because it's not like a full dedicated racing circuit. So at the end of the day, they just don't have all the facilities needed to keep broadcast going for that long. So that seems to be the accepted theory as to why broadcast went dark for a little bit there. But despite that, it seemed like a pretty good race. There was a point where I think it was Christian Lundgaard, the number 7 at Arrow McLaren. He was racing against Alex Palou from Chip Ganassi, and they were going at it with each other for a super long time. It was incredibly impressive. Really showed some like delicate dancing between the cars. They were just on each other for laps. It was really beautiful, heart-pumping racing. Highly recommend watching, at the very least, highlights of them battling each other because it was incredible. Eventually, Palou got around Lundgaard, and immediately he started opening up just the craziest gap, and it increasingly proved the fact that Palou is just a threat. You really can't touch that kid. And there were already memes going around the IndyCar subreddits basically talking about how he's going to win every race except for the ovals because he hasn't won an oval yet. So that's going to be interesting. So that's it on IndyCar. Formula One. I know we're talking a lot about Formula One for something that we said that we'll never talk about. But basically, Formula One, what had happened was Hamilton got his first win with Ferrari. So we're very happy about that. But that being said, it was a sprint race win, not a real race, but you know what? We support him anyways, and we support him because he's the GOAT at the end of the day. So props to our king for getting his first win, but the beauty and glory of that win didn't last for long, simply because the next day, the actual race, he and Leclerc both got disqualified. Why did they get disqualified? It's simple. I'll tell you all about it. They got disqualified because Leclerc was underweight. A bunch of reasons why that could happen, but point is not allowed to be underweight. And Hamilton was disqualified because he had excessive plank wear. So plank wear, it's a way to measure the ride height of these different vehicles. And ride height's important because that's going to help you with like aerodynamic performance and handling and all that kind of stuff, especially with this current generation of cars who get the majority of their downforce from Venturi tunnels built into the floor of the ground. If you're lower to the ground, you can in theory have higher levels of downforce. And so this is basically just a whole situation where if he was down lower than you're allowed, he can in theory have much better performance and just in general, I don't know, be faster across the lap. And the fact that he was too low makes it a big no-no, and it's unfair compared to everybody else. Yada. He got disqualified. He was out of the race. That's a double DNF or double DSQ technically for disqualifying for Ferrari, and that is incredibly rare that both cars ever disqualify because disqualifications in general are pretty rare. So not great for Ferrari. They went from being on a high to being on a low within the span of 24 hours basically. So big shame for them, but you know what? I'm still believing in the Ferrari hype train. Is that? I just drove by Walton Goggins. That's crazy. Okay, well, whatever. Hi, Walton. I don't know what to say about that. That's Los Angeles for you. So yeah, as far as I'm aware, that's all that there's really worth talking about in terms of the races last week. But this week, we have something to look forward to. There's only one real race that's happening this week. Oh, no, something else to address first is, as of today, it's officially announced that Yuki Tsunoda is going to take over Liam Lawson's spot. Why is that big news? It's big news because Liam Lawson has been doing pretty bad for the last 2 races that he's been with Red Bull, but at the same time, it's only 2 races, so you should kind of give him more time to adapt, but whatever. Red Bull's going to Red Bull. They're just very strict about how they do things. And it's also potentially a good thing for Yuki because Red Bull is the bigger team compared to Racing Bulls. However, Red Bull's car is really bad right now, so who knows if that's going to pan out for him. There's a lot of rumors that Max was hoping that Yuki wouldn't get promoted because he thinks that the Red Bull car is so bad it would ruin Yuki's career and his trajectory. I guess Checo, it was confirmed, I think from his manager, that Checo didn't want Yuki to take over that second Red Bull seat because everybody who goes that second Red Bull seat gets chewed up and spit out like it's nothing. So I don't know. It's a whole thing, but Yuki has the seat and he's going to be there in Japan, his home country. So his debut with the bigger team is going to be at his home race. So that's kind of cute in its own way. But at the same time, I'm not that happy about it because he's been screwed around by Red Bull way too much. And that makes me really sad to watch. Like, yeah, he deserves this, but it took too long. It's too little too late. And even then, this Red Bull car might not be what it should be. So we're going to have to wait and see how that goes. But all I know is I'm excited for that because I'm going to be in Tokyo watching that race. So it's going to be fun seeing this kid debut at his own race. I hope that it's going to be really hype. It will be really hype. So it's going to be exciting. As for this weekend, the only thing that's going on is MotoGP, and that's going to be at the Circuit of the Americas in Austin, Texas. And I think that's just going to be another case of watching the Marquez brothers probably run away with it. We're going to see qualifying or practice is going to start tomorrow, and the weekend's just going to keep developing. And I feel like it's just going to be another Marquez domination because what else could it be? But yeah, one thing I learned this week in doing a bunch of reading and research is that Marc Marquez was basically the Max Verstappen back in the day at Honda because the Honda motorcycles, they became really crappy and difficult to ride. But the thing is, Marc Marquez is such a monster that he was able to squeeze performances out of it nevertheless. And so you had teammates who were complaining that this bike is basically unrideable, but Marquez was still looking good. So Honda kind of seemed to not ignore or not pay much attention to the second rider's notes. And what ended up happening is once Marc Marquez left for Ducati, Honda seemed to take a massive dive into the toilet when they didn't have a driver who understood how to get the most out of the bike. I'm curious if that ever happens with Red Bull. I mean, next year's regulations are completely different, so everything's going to be flipped regardless. But it's just an interesting thought where one driver is so highly adaptable and killer that he can get performances out of basically a driving toaster and potato, but it's going to chew out and spit out anybody else. I don't know. There's much to think about. Yeah, this is just a quick little thing. I don't know how long it's going to be. I'm probably going to chop it up. If I think of anything else, I'll add it. But otherwise, yeah, this is my one-man show of the Formula None podcast. I think we will probably have to record next week's episode remote if we can figure that out because I will still be in Japan. So we're going to have to see how that goes. But nevertheless, there's a bunch coming up. Yeah, we have the Japanese Grand Prix, which is not this weekend, but next weekend. COTA is this weekend. 2 weekends from now. I'm saying all this incredibly out of order, but the weekend of April 10th, we have the Long Beach Grand Prix, which if everything goes to plan, both Corbin and I will be at in varying capacities. So yeah, there's a lot coming at us, and part of the beauty of the Long Beach Grand Prix is it has IMSA there as well. They do a 100-minute sprint race. So Corbin will be able to see both open wheel racing as well as top level endurance racing, although it's not an endurance format. You're going to see the GT3 cars and the hypercars, and that's going to be our chance to see that Aston Martin Valkyrie in person. It's going to be exciting. Yep, again, if I think of anything else, I will post it. I will do a little addendum at the end here, but otherwise, yeah, that has been my quick little 10 minutes on Formula None, checking in on the world of motorsports, all off the dome. So I'm sorry if it was all confusing because I don't have an itinerary, but yeah, I'll talk to you guys later.